Everyone, welcome to Coco. My name is Jen. We're about to begin our 10 a.m. Strong and Steady class. So I have my 5-foot stick. Make sure that the stick that you're using is bigger than your wingspan, ideally. So if you're over 6 feet tall, make sure your stick is over 6 feet. It helps in deepening your stretch. I am over 5 feet tall, but this is pretty good. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our feet slightly wider than our hips, and our knees are softly bent, and draw your belly button in and lengthen your grip on your stick so it's about as wide as you can, keeping your arms nice and straight. Inhale as you draw the stick up overhead, and exhale as it descends down your back. Nice and slow. So we're not only starting off with loosening up our shoulders and our chest, but we're also starting with the mindset of opening into the stretch. So nice breaths, inhale and exhale. Good, one more, front to back. Good, and now we'll go one arm at a time. And as we do the one arm at a time stretch, we're lengthening through our back and lateral muscles. Okay, so our goal is to bring it all the way to the front at the hips and all the way to the back at the hips. Keeping the spine straight, exhale as you reach up and over. Good, and once you have in the front this last time, switch directions. Good, nice and slow. End to end, up and over. Good, one more time. Good, now it's transition, and we'll have it behind our hips with our palms facing. And we'll do some little spinal twists here, further opening up the chest. So I want you to think about the strength in the back of your shoulders, that posterior deltoid, helping you to open up as you twist. And you'll notice I'm not maintaining a still pelvis right now. I'm twisting all the way through, and that's okay. Good, okay. Now we're gonna hinge forward into airplane. So melting your chest toward the ground, maintaining a nice neutral spine. Starting to open up your hamstrings and glutes. So rising and falling. Inhale and exhale. Good, okay. Do 5 or 6 of these rise and falls. And then we're gonna start with our first new position. Good, okay. Now, well, actually we'll go ahead and cover off just a quick round of windmills. All right, so with our windmill, the focus is grasping with one arm, and we're gonna try and drive a little bit of rotation in the low back. And the arm with which you grasp, you want to be strong with that arm. Okay, you're gonna essentially be hanging your body weight from that grip, okay? And you want that arm to be as straight as you can. So we're gonna hinge at the hips, keeping a nice tight grip here. And as you begin to fall, your chest is going into the stick. Now we're gonna grasp the stick with the other hand, but as you get fully into this stretch, your hands are stacked. Now the goal is that the stick is straight up and down, and that your hands are straight up and down with the stick, and your chest is melting in to meet the stick. So I have my left hand gripping tightly to the top, and so my left hip is slightly lifted. Good. Now we stay here. We breathe through this stretch. Strong in that top hand, and everything else is releasing down. Now to get out of this, I want you to soften your knees, transition the weight to your heels, and rise up. Okay, we'll take that one more time. Now you should feel like that left hand or that top hand has done a lot of work because it is holding everything up. Okay, again, left hand grasping, right hand's gonna reach out for the stick, externally rotating in the joint, thumb down. Okay, lower yourself until that left arm is straight. Allow your chest to melt forward to meet the stick. Try and evaluate how straight do I have the stick. Good, okay. Weight in your heels, bend your knees, transition back, and then we'll switch hands. Okay, so now right hand's on top. I'm gonna have a nice strong grip in that right hand. Left hand's gonna extend out, pinky up, thumb down, soften my knees. I'm hinging at the waist. I'm gonna allow my right arm to straighten, and then I melt forward, chest into the stick, and left arm is extending down to the mat, right arm to the ceiling. And I'm gonna take my gaze up over my right, up to my right shoulder, right hand. Good, okay. Heels, transition your body weight, rise. We'll do that one more time, and then we're gonna take a different variation on windmill. Okay, ready? Soften your knees. Right arm is strong. Left arm extends, thumb down, pinky up. Allow yourself to hinge forward until your arm that's grasping the top has straightened. Melt your chest into the stick. Good, breathe and relax. Allow yourself to melt into the stretch. Good, then soften your knees, weight in your heels, and rise up. Good. Okay, now here's our first variation. All right, this variation can be done, you can either be seated or we're gonna do it in a hinge position because it's not really convenient for us to be in a seated position for this, okay? So I was kind of playing with this before class. Okay, so our stance is gonna be basically the same. And we're gonna take the stick over to our right foot or left foot. Okay, now I'm gonna grasp the stick with my left hand on top. Okay, so it's crossing my body. And then I'm gonna allow my body as I hinge to slide down the stick, okay? And I'm allowing my chest to open as the stick crosses over. So my right hand is reaching down to the stick, which is at my left foot. So right hand to left foot. Switch hands, James. So you're gonna open up, strong grip here, and it's gonna meet your armpit. So, oh, left hand. There you go. Now hinge, palm out. There you go. And now slide down and bring your palm, pinky down. Yep, you got it. That's it. Good. And now you can play around with your legs, right? Okay, so right now we'll come up and then we'll talk about playing around with it. So we'll go down. So the stick we're gonna have over to our right shoulder, right? And so we're gonna slide down. What's that? All right, so stick is at the inside of my left foot securely, and I'm gonna hinge, but I'm gonna keep, so it's crossing at my left, but the top of it's toward my right shoulder. Left hand's grasping, hinge, and I have my right hand sliding down the stick. Okay, now here I am my second time into this, and I'm open up and rotated nice. Now we can play around with a lateral lunge, right? So I can straighten my left leg or straighten my right leg, getting into my left, stretching out my adductor on either side. Maybe lengthen my leg away, going nice and deep into this. So if you remember, this is kind of variation of slap shot, right? A little bit less intense in the low back, a little bit more in the shoulders. Okay, let's try that one more time. Okay, so I slid my feet as I went, but if we try this with a really wide stance to start. Okay, I'm gonna try that. So it's embedded into the sole, into the arch of my left foot. And I'm gonna slide down. My legs are even and I'm hinged. And now I'm gonna take a lateral lunge, keeping a grip on the stick. I'm going into my right knee. Left is straightening, and there I get the big rotation in my low back. And what I'm also getting is that downside shoulder, that lat and traps really are opening up as I grip onto the stick. Good. I'm going to show that one more time. Okay. So my hand is sliding down the stick. I'm going to allow my arm to straighten, and then I'm going to allow my right knee to bend, gripping hard on the stick. Good. Okay. So let's switch sides now. Okay. So it's embedded in the arch of my right foot. My right hand's going to grasp the stick, and it's crossed over to my left shoulder. So I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to hinge and slide down. Arm is straight, but because it's crossed my body, I'm already getting a little bit of rotation here, right? Okay. I'm opening my chest. I'm opening the front side of my front side of my right shoulder. And I'm grasping on the stick with my left hand down by my right ankle, opening up the back of my left shoulder. Okay, bend the knees and rise. Good. Okay, we'll take one more. So place the left hand on the stick. As you slide down, you're gonna lengthen, nice strong grip in that top hand, staying hinged, grasping the stick firmly. Okay, so here I am. My left hand is by my right foot, right hand on top. Now I'm gonna bend my left knee, lateral lunge, and rotate, draw the belly button in, look up toward the ceiling on the right side. Open up even more. All right, transition your weight to your heels and rise. I'm feeling that stretch a lot more in my QL, my quadratus lumborum, almost than the slap shot. I feel like I have more control over the muscles where I'm transitioning to with that one. Okay, good work. Now I can't remember the other new one that I wanted to do. It's coming to me. Okay, let's go ahead and go down on one knee. We'll start our leg work. Okay. All right, so if you need, find a blanket for underneath your knee. Okay, so I have right knee down, left knee up. And I'm just gonna start melting forward into my hip flexors, lengthening my quads. Good. And I've got a nice grip on my stick, allowing my chest to continue to open up and my shoulders. So I'm hanging from the stick, going back and forth. So the stick is in my right hand, my left knee is up. Good. Okay, now I'm going to lower my grip on the stick and I'm going to start opening up my chest again. As I slide forward, I'm going to push the stick behind. Good. Now we could get the same benefit out of this stretch if you don't have a stick and don't want to be in this position, just with a door frame, right? We can grip a door frame and I'll walk forward with a nice tight grip on that and force yourself to open up your chest. But the key is to keep the shoulders and hips pointed straight ahead. Good, taking one more. Good, okay, the last element here would be a spinal rotation. So we're sliding forward, pressing the stick back, ballerina arm with the left arm, and then exhale as you twist. Keep gazing back at that right arm, rotating back even further. Good, and back to center. We'll take one more. Slide, press the stick back, and twist. Excellent. Okay, now here's the first variation on this stretch, okay? So what we're gonna do is we have the stick kind of positioned equidistant between our right knee and our left foot. Okay, now we're gonna slide that right arm through that little window here. And then we're going to wrap the arm around and grasp it from the bottom. Now, lengthen your arm up top and slide forward, hand really strongly to the top of the stick. And then we're opening up the hip flexor. Now, as you're able, you can slide the stick away a little bit. So move it instead of right in front of the knee, out and away. So it's a bit more at an angle. Okay, let's try that one more time, okay? So it's right in front of the knee and we have a nice high grasp on the stick, right? Okay, we're gonna slide that left arm under the armpit. Extend the shoulders so it's kind of tucked underneath the armpit, right? So draw it through and wrap behind the shoulder. Bring it in closer a bit. There you go. Perfect. Okay, then grasp right underneath it. Good. Okay, now we're focusing on trying to have a grip as high as we can. And then slide into your hip flexor just a little bit. And soften through that right armpit to hip right now. For me, it's right armpit to hip. My right hand's grasping the stick. Good, and you come back as you're able, and then you start moving the stick out and away. So you're increasing the angle of the stick. And you can drop your ear toward the stick to get even more. So the goal is to get a nice long stretch in that lateral sling. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm just going to demonstrate it from a frontal view for the folks. So I'm grabbing with the right hand. I'm going to get it into my armpit so it's kind of tucked in. And then I'm lengthening with the stick. So if I wanted to change the angle on the stick and bring it even closer to the ground, then I'm forcing my body, the outside, to open up even more. So try and lengthen that top arm as much as you can. It hurts. Okay, let's switch knees. Okay, so right knee up, left arm grasping, and we're hanging from the stick. Opening up that hip flexor and back. Good. So the first phase here is just focusing on the hip flexor and the monkey hang. So stretching out the muscles in the front of the chest. Good. Okay, now we lower our grip. So it's just around the height of our shoulder, maybe just a little bit higher. And now we incorporate a hip flexor stretch as we slide forward, and then we press the stick toward the back, trying to keep our shoulders still square to the front, arm as straight as we're able. Okay, and then rotate back, hand in front as you come back up to your half kneel. Exhale as you open up again. And back to the front. And then exhale. All right, now we add in our spinal twist. So we're gonna lift our right arm for our ballerina arm. So slide into the hip flexor, open up the chest, and then exhale as you rotate. And you're twisting the direction that your fingers are pointing. And your focus is the wringing out the towel sensation, okay? Coming back to neutral. Slide forward, exhale. Open up the chest, exhale. Spinal rotation. Good, and back to center. Thumb. Oh. Yeah. Okay. All right, so now we're back to this new kind of complicated positioning. So the stick is in close to our body to begin, okay? So right about at our knee, our left knee. Okay, we're gonna reach, maintain your grip on your stick. You want it really high with that left hand, and you're gonna cross out in front. Okay, and then you're gonna sneak that shoulder around so it's tucked behind the armpit, right? And then you're gonna grasp it underneath, okay? So the goal being that we're now gonna stretch the left side laterally, okay? So the arm's gonna go the way the stick goes, right? So we wanna have a nice firm grip on the stick, and we're lengthening in the rib cage. Good, okay, so I'm gonna turn and look at the participants in the class here. So we have a nice grip on the stick, right? We're gonna wrap it around underneath the armpit, yeah? So just try and get it, bring it in closer to your knee if you need to, Anne. Can you get your elbow around it, like sneak it around? Nope, so bring it, yes, like that. Okay, so here, cross, and then sneak, yes, and then tuck it under your armpit. Nope, other way, yeah, okay. Now show me your palm. There you go. So the key is to kind of get it underneath your armpit if you can. So get the shoulder around it. There you go, good. That's much better. Okay. Today, okay. Let me show it one more time for the people on live stream, okay? So I've got it here, left hand's up. I've created this nice big space here, and I'm gonna cross my arm in front of the stick out toward my left hip. Okay, so it's out to my left hip. Now I can have it as close in as I need to because I wanna get it behind my shoulder, right? So that I can open my chest and grasp the bar, okay? So my left arm, there you go, is behind my ear. Now, Anne, if you move the stick out away from your belly button, it would be better. Okay, keep going. Move it more this way to your right, the base of the stick, not the head, the base. There you go. So it's right in my crease, right? Where it's embedded is right in my crease of my leg. Okay, so you have it pretty far away from your body. Get it in towards your crease more. There you go, good. Now you're angled this way, Anne, angle it this way. So the, you're right at your belly button, take the bottom end more towards your hip after you have your arm wrapped around. So get a position where you can get the arm wrapped around like you had it. There you go, good. Okay, now you're gonna shift it just a little bit toward your right knee. So move it out this way just a little bit if you can. That's okay. It's a complicated one. We'll continue to work on it. What it does a tremendous amount is opening up your side and your shoulders. And once you get it positioned, you can get that stretch all the way down, even to your knee that's planted into the ground. So you're extended like this. Okay, if you think about it, you are rotated here, if that makes sense. So your right knee is down. If your right knee is down and left knee is up, so then you're moving away from your right knee, right? So I'm just here. Okay, so move the stick to your other hand. There you go, and reach like this. This is the goal, right? But we're just gonna support it with the stick by being here. Okay, you got the philosophy now? Yes. You do, you're good. Okay, let's go ahead and come down on both knees. Give your patella a little break. Let's do a little child's pose. Slide your hands forward, open up your hips, melt your forehead toward the mat. And soften through your inner thighs. Good, now let's drag our hands back under our armpits. And let's come up into our tabletop. And we'll go ahead and slide into our pigeon pose, okay? All right, so nice tabletop, wrists under armpits. I'm sliding my right knee toward my right hand, and I'm going to slide then my right ankle toward my left hand, sliding my left leg back, and then melting myself down, my torso down toward my elbows, where I can rest here and start releasing into the stretch by letting go of my quads, trying to soften through my hips. And then the next phase would be to continue to push or melt through the position, lowering your torso toward the ground, your forehead resting comfortably. And then breathing into the place where you're resting. And after you've taken 3 or 4 nice long inhale, exhales, drag your hands back to the position under your shoulders, pressing your torso up and away from that leg, and then slide that leg back. So you've returned to tabletop, and now slide the opposite leg toward its partner hand. So that would be left knee to left hand. I'm sliding my left foot toward my right hand, sliding my right leg back, and then lowering myself toward the ground, elbow first. And then slowly lowering my chest down toward the mat. And allowing myself to melt into the stretch. Good, now slide your hands underneath your armpits, press your torso up and away. Now we're back into our tabletop position. Let's go ahead and rise. And now we're gonna do a single leg hamstring stretch. Okay, we haven't done a ton today, focus on hamstrings. We did a ton of upper body. So I want you to go ahead and bring yourself up into a half kneel. So right foot is on the ground. Now, because I'm gonna be up here working, I'm gonna go ahead and curl the toes of my left foot into the mat so I get a little more stability out of my glutes. And then I'm gonna, now, this would be a position if you need arm lengtheners to reach for your yoga blocks. So before we go too far, allow yourself to do that. Or if you're at home, you might use a little stack of books. Okay, and now we're gonna exhale and slide that right leg out in front. Okay, now we're gonna exhale and hinge forward. And you're gonna lower your hands underneath your shoulders, reaching for the ground. Soften through that right leg. I always check in to make sure my quad, even though those muscles are shortening, they're not active. And I'm melting forward into that leg, reaching forward with my chest as my hips move away. Now, if you're able, take that left hand, reach for the arch of your foot. Now you can play with that grip and pull your toes back if you want, getting into your calves, or just using it as leverage, an aid to help pull you forward a little bit. Good. If you're using it to pull your toes back, imagine one long line from your heel all the way up to your sits bones. Good. Now slide that heel back. Good, and take that half kneel again. Now, the tricky part here is if we want to try and get a quad stretch out of this, we would take it with our left leg that's in back, okay? So if you had a yoga strap, that might be a convenient tool to use. You take it around the arch of the left foot. We're stable in our half kneel, but we're gonna take that left foot off the ground. And so now I'm in a half kneel, but the foot's off the ground, and I'm grasping the ankle, the left ankle with my left hand. And I'm relaxing through my hamstring and just trying to get a stretch in that left quad. Good, okay, lower that foot to the ground and we'll exchange legs. So now we're back to a half kneel, left knee up, right leg back. Okay, yoga blocks handy if you need them. And we're gonna slide the left leg out so that the toes are off the ground and the left heel's into the ground. Okay, position that right foot so you're using the ball of your foot to help anchor you into the mat for stability. And now we're hinging forward. Good, hinging forward until your fingertips are touching the mat under your shoulders or your yoga blocks. And finding that position, and there's where the mental game begins. You're just visualizing the lengthening and stretching of that left hamstring as you start melting your chest towards your thigh, making sure you're not gripping in the thigh. Your right hand can reach for the arch of the left foot as you're able. Exhale. Good, you can use that right hand to draw the toes back. And release. Draw them back one more time. Feel that length from heel all the way to the sits bones. And release. Good, now slide the foot forward. Okay, and now you found your half kneel position. Now, if you had your stick handy, that would make me a useful aid here as well. So my stick is here, but I'm gonna reach down with my right hand for my right ankle. Okay, so good, and I'm relaxing through my hamstring. So think about the hamstring, let go of it. Don't put any tension in it. Allow yourself to lengthen through your quad, holding the weight of that foot in your right arm, right lat. Good, and then release and allow that foot to fall to the ground. Good, okay, now we're gonna find our way onto our backs. So find your yoga strap. And we're gonna take our stargazer position. What's that? Not counting. Little dots in the ceiling. Now, before we go into more hamstring stretches, just give yourself a minute here to relax into your imprint on the mat. Letting go of the tension you probably are carrying between your shoulder blades. Taking a couple nice breaths. And then slowly lengthen your left leg so that's laying flat on the mat, and then take your yoga strap and we're gonna wrap it around either the arch, the balls of the foot of your right leg, and grasp the strap in two hands and draw your elbows in so they're in parallel along your ribs, okay? Now take a moment and allow your leg to be dead into the strap. And then draw your breath into your chest and exhale as you begin to contract through your biceps, drawing the leg up the ceiling. No gripping. Hips are anchored. Good. Now slowly release a little bit of tension in the strap so your leg falls a little bit, and then we're going to rotate. So my right big toe is now pointed up and away toward my left shoulder, and I'm going to position both straps in my left hand. I'm going to place my right palm on the mat down by my right hip, and I'm going to start pulling away from my right shoulder. So I'm trying to access my outer hamstring by keeping my hips anchored to the ground. Good, now relax, lower, bend at the knee, draw your knee to your chest. Just for a moment, maybe you can paint little circles with your knee, one direction then the other. Good, okay, now we'll lower the right leg to the ground and switch the strap to the left leg. Okay, good. And so it begins. Hips are anchored, starting with that same mentality. Leg is dead into the strap, as straight as I'm able to make it. Quads are relaxed. And I'm going to slowly start contracting through my biceps. Elbows are locked into my ribs, drawing my foot up over my hips, my belly button. Good, now slowly release the strap just a bit. And now we're gonna turn the foot. By turning the foot, it should draw all the way up the line. So the femur, the muscle in your thigh, we're turning it interiorly in the joint. Still keeping the hip down though, don't let the left hip pop up. So now my left big toe is kind of pointed over toward my right shoulder. And I'm gonna transition the straps to my right hand and place my left palm down on the mat. And now I'm gonna start pulling that leg more in that direction, and I should be feeling more of a stretch on the outside hamstring. It's a more intense stretch. We're not really used to this one quite so much. So try not to grip into your quads as a response to feeling this stretch for the first time. Make your toes go quiet and soft. Good, now release. Soften the knee, bring it into your chest. Make a couple little circles. Okay, now we'll keep that hand strap around the left foot, and we'll bring the right leg up and we'll cross it, so right ankle on left knee. And we're opening up to a figure 4 here, so right elbow inside. Allow the left knee to bend. Okay, now you're gonna be firm with your right elbow into that left or right knee, trying to open up your figure 4. So think about being supported by that right lat. Next, think about keeping your hips anchored. And then finally, you're going to contract through the biceps to draw your left knee in towards your chest. Keep the hips anchored. You should feel this in your right glute, right hip. Good, now slowly release the tension and we'll switch legs. So now I'm gonna take my right foot and allow the strap to be in the arch or at the balls of my feet in that right foot, and I'm gonna cross my left leg over. So my ankle on my left leg is gonna be supported on my right knee. Now make sure that right leg is straight. Sometimes we have a tendency to let that leg collapse and move inwardly. Try and keep it in parallel to your right hip, okay? Allow the knee to bend. So now I have left elbow on the inside of my left knee, okay? Now nice and firm with that left elbow supported by my left lat. Hips are anchored. And now contract through the biceps, drawing the right knee into the chest. Still being firm in that elbow, in that left lat. Trying to open up that figure four. Create distance from the knee to the hips. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Good, now release your grip. Okay, now we'll go ahead and set the straps aside. Draw both knees in towards your chest. Place your hands on your knees. Allow them to rock your hips forward off the ground. Good, and once you've allowed your pelvis to fall back into a neutral position on the ground, now we'll go ahead and let the legs fall to the right. So if you want to support with that, go ahead and tee out your arms so your palms are down and slowly lower your legs to the right side of your body. Good, and then release your shoulder blades into the mat. Position your arms such that you can maintain that where both shoulder blades are heavy into the mat. So your arms might be teed out from the shoulders. They might be slightly lower. Just find that position where you're at right now. Then reach with your right hand, place it gently on top of the left leg, because that's the top side leg right now, and apply a little bit of gentle pressure into that to elevate that stretch that you're going to feel across the left glute and hip. You can take your gaze over towards your left fingers. Extend your fingers as far away from your chest as you can. Good. Now bringing your arms back down so they're pointing toward your feet. Draw your knees up off the ground so you're back to center with both sides of your pelvis into the mat. And now we're going to extend the arms, palms down, and slowly lower the legs to the left side of your body. Good. Find a position where your legs are just asleep into the mat. Right arm extending away so that your right shoulder blade is heavy into the mat. Left hand pressing gently onto the right side of your right leg, which is now on top. Take your gaze over to that right fingers, extending away from your chest. Good, now take that left hand off. Contract lat to oblique to draw your knees back over your chest, and then lengthen your legs below you onto the mat. And take one more nice breath into the chest. And long, slow exhale. All right, roll over onto your side. Press your way up to a seated position. Thanks for joining me for stretch today, guys. We did a lot of new things, okay? We'll continue to work on those new things. The more we do them, the better we get at them, the better I get at instructing them. So thanks for your patience today, and I hope you feel better for the rest of the day and for the week. Take care. See you next Sunday. Bye.